Welcome back, everyone. OpenLine, glad you are with us. We are talking about legal aid for low-income renters, a new program that's out there, Eviction Right to Counsel program. We have with us DarKenya Waller. She's the executive director of the Legal Aid Society. And we have several calls, but there's one thing. All right, so we've kind of explained the program. You wanted to add when it kicks off, is that right? Or
oh, yeah. So we are hoping to have the official launch September 15th. As I mentioned to you, we have been working all along, but in a very small capacity. This exponentially expands what we're doing. It brings in Conexión Americas in terms of ensuring that we are available to all populations, to anyone who needs our assistance. And so we're excited about being able to do that. We're almost fully staffed to get this going, and so yeah, we look forward to it.
And do you have to meet any criteria to be eligible for this? Yeah.
So it is intended for low income. That being said, our initial threshold will probably be somewhere around 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. Just for reference, 200% is probably around $4,600. $4,600 a month for a family of four. In terms of initial eligibility. We can go above that, but we really will be looking at priority for those low-income persons. And just like any resource that's free to the public, we have to determine where we can allocate our resources and make the most impact.
And one other question before I start taking calls. I mean, how long would the average case last? So let's say you take a case. I mean, I wouldn't think it's like a year-long thing. How long is it?
Yeah, typically these cases last about a month, and that's on the high end. If there are continuances where we have to continue the case further, that kind of extends it. But eviction cases are typically pretty quick turnaround because, well,
they're happening, yeah.
Yeah, either you're in or you're not, and so about a month, maybe up to 6 months if there's some extreme circumstances, but that's rare.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Jill. Hello, Jill.
Hi.
Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Workman's comp is on my mind. Does legal aid provide any legal advice for people with workman's comp claims?
Unfortunately, we don't. The Legal Aid Society really tries to be in spaces where typically you cannot get an attorney, typically where an attorney would not be available ordinarily. As I mentioned previously, relative to evictions in particular, better than 96% of tenants are unrepresented. And to be candid with you, that very small percentage of people who are represented are more than likely our attorneys at Legal Aid. Why? Because there's no real financial benefit. There's no opportunity for an attorney to be paid for that work. And so we try and be in the spaces where those attorneys aren't. Workers' comp, there is compensation available to attorneys who take workers' comp cases. And so for that, we typically refer people to the Nashville Bar's Lawyer Referral Service. And if you call the Nashville Bar Association Lawyer Referral Service, they will connect you to an attorney who you can talk to about your case, and they receive a percentage of whatever you might recover from that workers' compensation case, and that's how they're paid, so that you don't have to come out of pocket personally.
Okay, all right, good, thank you, Jill. Good luck with that. I'm glad you asked that. Let's go to Dennis. Hello, Dennis.
Hey, Ben. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, you're welcome. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm swept up in this, and I spent 30 years. I moved here to Nashville in 1989, and I've been a landscaper ever since, feeling like I've been making this city beautiful for all these people to come in and take it away from me. And I'm not resentful, but I do misunderstand how all this happened during the pandemic, that I unfortunately was indirectly evicted by them locking me out. And had I not had friends and other work that allowed me to stay, and I'm still here, and I'm still working, but I've never made more than $2,200 a month. And, 25 years ago, that was good money. But right now, it's barely enough to survive.
Right.
And I had hardship and I had problems, but I do believe that the legal system failed me because I did everything the landlord asked me to do. And yet still, I came home one day and could not get in and found myself, if any lack of better words, I was homeless for a few hours until I could call somebody and work out a better arrangement, and I'm still trying to make the city better looking. But, I still have a lot of questions about how to fix my situation and still live here.
So are you still about to be
wrong.
evicted now? I mean, do you feel like you're still going to be evicted?
No, I have a secure arrangement
Good.
as we speak, but I also have debt from the previous place I was. So, and my question is, how do I restore myself as a decent citizen in the city to get my credit back and try and become whatever I need to be to stay here and earn enough money to stay here? I don't expect you to help me find a good paying job. I have a decent paying job, but it's getting so expensive to live here. I have no choice at some point to have to abandon Nashville.
Right. Okay, Dennis.
Help me.
Let's talk through this. I appreciate your call. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you have a place now. All right, first thing he said, he came home one day, his door was locked.
Yeah.
And he felt he was trying. That was an attempt to evict. Is that something you hear? Does this happen?
It happens more than you can imagine, and throughout the pandemic, I would say it was exponentially more during the pandemic. First of all, that is what's called an illegal eviction. Period. Full stop. That never should have happened. And we get those calls all the time. And typically what happens when we get them, we consider those priority calls. Our attorneys, to be candid with you, are full up with cases. I mean, they're working as hard as they can, paddling as quickly as they can. But we stop the presses when we hear a situation like this, because what's extremely difficult for a layperson like Dennis to do, that is honestly light work for us, is to pick up a phone or address a letter and say, this is an illegal eviction, it's improper, unlock the doors immediately, or there will be additional things that we're going to do through the legal system, and we will be charging full attorney's fees to do it. We stop those kinds of evictions almost daily, and they do occur. And I will tell you, it was epidemic through the pandemic that we were stopping those kind of evictions. And in saying this, I do want to be clear. I believe landlords carried the pandemic. I will say that to anyone. Landlords carried this country on their backs through the pandemic. And so it is not a situation where we are at Legal Aid attempting in any way to deprive landlords of what they are due. They are due rent every month. And that is advice and counsel that we give to any tenants who are calling us and saying, what can you do? I'm being evicted, but I haven't paid my rent in 3 months. We're doing everything that we can do to get money into landlords' hands. All of the emergency rental assistance and all of that was funded by the government, that was for the benefit of the landlords. How can we put money in their pocket, because we're asking them to carry us through this pandemic? And so that's what we do. We try and get those funds to them. But that being said, when it's a situation like this, a lockout, we're going to stop that because we have legal procedures for a reason. No one gets to unilaterally decide that you did not comply with your lease. You have to go to court unless there's some other agreement, and you have to have that decided, and there are procedures for that to occur. You don't get to bypass that. You don't get to go around it and put a lock on the door. It's just illegal, full stop.
And the other question he had is, how do I restore myself, my credit? So he's been through a difficult thing there that was obviously wrong what should he do? What would you recommend?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I would recommend is to call legal aid, because Dennis, you sound like our client. You sound like who it is that we work to represent and to help every day. Hardworking Americans who have done all the right things and find themselves in a bad situation because of a pandemic, because of an accident, because of some health issue, something out of your control that occurred that has put you in this temporary position that we may be able to help you get out of. It sounds like there's a lot of things there, but those are the things that we do. You may very well want to start at one of our legal clinics, and you can call Legal Aid Society to find out about our legal clinics, because it sounds like there's a ball there that needs to be untangled, and that's what lawyers do. We get those balls and we untangle it. But we do things at Legal Aid Society, from family law to consumer law to debt collection, powers of attorney, employment issues, health law issues, public benefits, bankruptcy, tax issues. People a lot of times think we only do rental or we only do family law, and the fact of the matter is we do a lot. We do a lot, and we leverage the 45 attorneys that we have across Middle Tennessee to do this work. Our tax attorney in our Oak Ridge office, which serves all of our offices, does trainings for the IRS, immensely qualified to do the work, and she does it for legal aid, and she does it for people who can't afford attorneys. And so it sounds like that needs to be a call to us. We're at 800-238-1443, and what we'll do is we'll do an intake to ensure that you are qualified for our services, meaning low income, which it sounds like you are, and then we'll do our best to connect you to an attorney who can assist you in unraveling that ball. It may be, just some letters that are going to debt collectors. It may be bankruptcy, but whatever it is, we kind of try and find that for you. That being said, as I mentioned earlier, we have limited resources like all nonprofits, and if for any reason we're not able to help you at this point, we'll let you know that. We'll give you all the resources we can, some of those being self-help resources, things you might be able to do on your own, like a slow pay motion, where we create documents that you can just fill out, file with the court, that can stop debt collection or garnishments that might be happening to your account. But again, that starts with a phone call, and it sounds like you're exactly our client.
All right, very good. Thank you. That's a great answer. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back, continue our discussion. If you want to call in, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.